I am at Playa Vista Beach, which is like a really nice, really not that populated area. And it's really just a nice day. There's sailboats in the distance. And this is like where a lot of sailboats come out from Marina Del Rey. Playa Vista is next to Marina Del Rey. A lot of you have heard of Marina Del Rey, but there are other beaches that are south of Marina Del Rey and north of Marina Del Rey. But I am going to be reading to you from a court brief, a pleading they call it, or a complaint that I filed in state court last February 29th of 24. The reason I filed this complaint was because of what was happening on the job. I was like, this is not even legal behavior. Somebody outside of this, an entity outside of this, needs to know what's going on. I was being harassed daily by one individual, and she had the support of management, HR, and the union. The union is Unite Here Local 11. They are full of shit. Now I'm going to read to you how everything started. This is from season 22. Laura Ortiz began harassing me. I'm substituting me for plaintiff because I wrote it legalese where I'm the plaintiff, which is the person being victimized. Okay, so wherever I had plaintiff, I'm substituting and now putting myself. Okay, so I'll start over. Laura Ortiz began harassment of me. I asked the union rep, Sylvia Sosa, to intervene. On July 5th, 2022, I'm reading from the actual transcript. Laura Ortiz, so I asked Sylvia Sosa, a union rep, to intervene. So July 5th, 2022. Meeting at the Stoli Bar, located on the Loge level, right field at Dodger Stadium. Union Rep Sylvia Sosa, HR Director Janelle Morgan, Premium General Manager Les Echeverria, myself, Michael Sadri, and Laura Ortiz. I'm the one who made the complaint about her harassing me on a daily basis because I'd finally said, enough of this. So, this is what happened. 1A, complaint from Laura Ortiz about me asking for assistance to push items up front in the deep beer refrigerators. They were short and deep. And I asked the fellas if they can help me by pushing the products up forward because I couldn't reach down that low. I couldn't squat to get anything. So the guys would push the products up forward. It wasn't like they were getting, every time I needed a beer, they're handing me a beer. That would have been ridiculous. It was to push the products up forward so that I could reach them myself. And there had been no complaints from the people who were doing it. The complaint came from Laura Ortiz. So she's talking about, she's complaining about the guys helping me. She said she has to do it like everybody else. It's not their job to do that it's not their job to help her. It's not fair for them to have to do that. HR Director Janelle Morgan agreed. Sylvia Sosa stated, you have to be able to get your things yourself like everybody else. And then Sylvia said, whatever management decides, we're coming down on the side of management. That is a union rep, a shop steward, saying this. Okay, the very next day, July 6th, 2022. I was notified from the time I got there. The minute I clocked in, basically, I was notified by management that I had to go to HR. And when I'm looking at her like, well, why? She said she didn't know. So I go upstairs. Human Resource Director and another union rep. I'm not going to mention her name because she really didn't play into the bullshit. She really didn't. I mean, maybe twice. So that doesn't count in my book. It might count, but in my book, I didn't see it as a major thing. She didn't really, I think she knew that it was stupid stuff and she wanted to kind of stay clear of it. But because of cultural ties and all of that, she knew she had to play a part. But she really minimized it, and I thank her for that. So I'm not going to mention her name. But anyway, I was told that I showed no participation in closing duties because the task sheet was unsigned. Now, up until this point, nobody signed the task sheet. And I had been working there at that location for quite some time. And none of us signed a timesheet. I mean, a task sheet. We just knew, we could discuss amongst ourselves, but we basically had an established routine. So when Laura Ortiz joined the three of us, it was actually a help because now we could divide the duties amongst 4 people instead of 3. But anyway, so because I didn't show any participation, because I didn't sign an unsigned task sheet, so Laura Ortiz and Michael Sadri took the task sheet to Human Resources, and they did it when it required the signatures of both the manager and the immediate supervisor. So they just took it up there, and she accepted it. Both signatures were required before reaching her desk. And she accepted it anyway. Alright. Now we're going to move to August of the same year, of 2022. Because the harassment went through stages. The general manager, Les Echeverria, his brilliant idea was to have supervisors and managers sit at the bar and watch 4 bartenders work. Just the 4 of us. And he's got time to do all this. And he would come by, and I was like, what is this dude babysitting us or something? But he sent in babysitters. And they would sit there and just watch us work. That's it. That was their only job, was to sit there and watch us work. And when I guess it started to be too expensive, or maybe someone was saying something about it, he then ended it. And he had one conversation with Laura Ortiz, and it was like magic. She stopped harassing me for the rest of the season. I actually would set up her bar station for her like I did for everybody else to accommodate her 15 minutes late every day. I asked the shop steward Sylvia Sosa about this coming in late business every day, and she said it was legal to do, that the union allowed 15 minutes late every day. I said, this is a great union, because I don't know any place where you can work and come in every day 15 minutes late. So most of us, we were getting there 15 minutes early. She comes in 15 minutes late. Well, I didn't think I was supposed to wait around for her to show up before I did my job. So anyway, we all good. I'm thinking the end of the year ended so smoothly. That's the end of it, right? We're going to have a great year, 23. Season 2023, March 31st. Laura Ortiz initiated harassment and made the following statements to me. 1, you really should think about working somewhere else before you get fired. 2, we know about you. everybody hates you for, we have something for you. And then she says that I am not pitching in. Now, mind you, this is only our second day of work. I'm not pitching in, not doing anything, didn't help out, standing back and not doing my part. Well, now I can say how I want to say it. Well, bitch, your ass was coming in 15 minutes late. I'm coming in 15 minutes early. What the fuck was I supposed to do? Wait around for you to show up before I started working? That's what I wanted to say. Anyway, she goes on and says, I'm not going to be working very much longer. And she said, I need to quit. You really don't do anything but stand around and wait for the bar to open. Which I thought was kind of funny because that's what we said about her. That she just comes in late enough to set up her station, whatever I hadn't put out. And then want to stand back and just wait for the bar to open. But nobody would say anything to her. I didn't say anything to her either. Because I was like, we're going through this dumb stuff again. So then she called manager Jessica Lopez. Jessica Lopez listens to her, and the conversation started in English. And then Laura Ortiz switched to Spanish for the remainder of her conversation, a way of separating me from the group. And then manager asked me, Miss Lopez, requested an email from me about the incident. Now, and then the general manager, now mind you, he's general manager over hundreds of employees. And he's got time to be concerned with a bar that only has 4 bartenders. Premium general manager made a visit and inquired about the harassment issue, and then says to me, this is only the second day. I was stunned. I'm thinking this guy's going to say, oh, we're going to put an end to this. We're not going through another year of this. But that was his response. This is only the second day. All right. April 2nd. I'm not even getting out, I don't get any breaks. As you will hear me read, there are no breaks for me. April 2nd of 23. I and teammates Michael Sadri and another teammate whose name I'm not going to mention because he really did not play into it either. We were unloading supplies, restocking from the orders that we put in the night before. As the restocking was taking place, empty boxes were thrown to the middle side of the floor where the customers stand. Laura Ortiz arrived. She witnessed all teammates throwing boxes. We've been throwing boxes in that area since 2022. She says, she speaks to Michael Sadri in Spanish, and then in English complains about me throwing boxes. It doesn't look good for you to be doing that. Michael Sadri agrees, stating, if Jessica comes down here and sees this, she's going to be mad. Laura argued with me about the boxes and how she never sees me doing anything. You are lazy and only pretend to be working. I wanted to say, well, bitch, your ass shows up late every day. So who are you to be making a determination as to what I'm doing? You're not here to see it. But I didn't. So Michael mentions a seniority list. The job is based on attendance. So if you have perfect attendance and you're never out, then hour-wise, you become the senior person at the stand. It's just that basic. You come to work every day, and the other people are missing 3 and 4 days. I had perfect attendance. I was like a kid going to school. So Michael was not senior to me. This bothered them. They don't want anyone outside of their people being in any kind of leadership role. I didn't care. If they had have asked me, well, this is a job based on seniority, and since you're the senior person, do you want the job? I would have said no, let Michael have it. But we never got that far. But that would have been my thing. He's a young kid. I'm like, if they hadn't have bothered me, I was going to retire a lot sooner. But they bothered me. So let me keep going. So anyway, he mentions the seniority list posted on the cage, which the manager knew was wrong. She knew it was wrong, and she left it there. So he starts talking about how he's in charge and that he's the boss and everybody has to listen to him. Well, with that kind of attitude, I'm not sure if I would have given up my seniority because I could see where this was going. But I didn't say anything. I let it go. Now, here we go. April 4th. I just talked about April 2nd. April 4th, here we are again. After conversations about gang activity and how the 18th Street gang has influence over numbers that are printed on sports gear, I decided to report the incident from March 31st to HR. And this is what Janelle Morgan told me. Her solution was that we should stay away from each other. I said, we did that last year and it didn't work. But her idea was to stay away from each other. And she told me to ignore the comments made by Laura Ortiz. She also said that there would be a meeting with her, but we never had meetings where we were both present. Not really. To get to the bottom of why she was doing this foolish behavior in the first place. She also told me that Laura would be told to stay away from me, which I don't think that went down. And to ignore her, that she didn't mean what she said. Well, I'm like saying to myself, well, how do you know she didn't mean what she said? But anyway, I stopped driving after that because the parking lots for the staff is dark. They're not lights. I mean, this guy is worrying about a gondola ride. He should be worrying about security in his parking lots. They're not lit like they need to be. In certain areas, yes. In other areas, no. And where the employees basically park, it's dark and no security or anything. So somebody could have done something to my car or anything, and especially after talking about gang activity. Oh no, we're not playing that. So anyway, the dates between April 5th and April 27th, I've misplaced. So I don't know, but I'm almost certain things went on. So now I'm going to bring you up to April 28th. April 28th, supervisor, and I'm going to say her name because she really didn't participate in the foolishness. So I'm going to leave her name out. But she reprimanded me about being on my cell phone before gates opened. Now, the supervisor, she was very snarky when she talked to me, though. And I happened to be talking to one of my sister friends, and she heard what she said. And this is what she said. She reprimanded me about talking on my cell phone. And she wanted to know what time I clocked in. And the way she said it was really nasty. So I said, well, I'm not going to get into that with you. I'm sure you can find out, from management if you really wanted to know what time I clocked in. So then she says, you're not supposed to be on your phone. Now, I'm doing it pretty much with her tone. My voice is a different voice, but that kind of tone. You're not supposed to be on your phone. And then she said, she kept talking about me being on the cell phone after I had apologized and everything. And then I asked her about me being on the phone because everybody else was on their phone when they came in. Some of them came walking in talking on their phone. So I felt, well, I'm going to ask her. She's going to talk with everybody else. And she says to me, this conversation is not with everybody else. I'm talking to you and not everybody else. And I was like, boy, she's being a real bitch today, but okay. So then later on, I'm in the kitchen. There's a main kitchen where they have some of the greatest food that people just don't eat. And they're going to throw it out. So they're nice enough to let the staff have it. And I think that's such a beautiful thing about the kitchen, who's ever in charge of the kitchen. I think that's really beautiful because otherwise, this stuff is going in the trash or some organization is coming to pick the food up and they don't even need it. They're getting food from everywhere. They don't need the food. Their employees are taking the food home. So why not let the Dodger Stadium employees have it? I think that's nice. So anyway, I'm downstairs getting some leftover food and I ran into Manager Lopez. She says to me, I'm supposed to text her when getting food. Now, no one else was told they had to text anybody, but all of a sudden now, I've got a text when I'm getting food. So I asked my coworkers later on about, did Lopez say anything to you about texting her when you're going to get food? They looked at me and was like, no. So I said, okay. So now, the next day, I come in early. Michael Sadri's on his cell phone. Lopez arrived, and she didn't say a damn thing to him about being on his cell phone. Not one boo. Okay. May 13th. May 13th. I had to go to HR. And I'm like, well, what am I in HR for again? This time, Laura Ortiz and Michael Sadri and a mystery customer made a complaint. The supervisor wrote me up about being on my cell phone. And I'm like, what the, who, what? So, Michael Sadri and Laura and the customer said I yelled at him during the stopping of service on May 3rd. Now, from what I can recollect, on May 3rd, Manager Lopez had changed the door closing time. And I'm trying to keep up with the door closing time. So the man was trying to come in. I said, I'm sorry, sir, we're closed. So Sadri and Ortiz are yelling at me to let him in. And I'm like, it's closed. But I'm like, okay, sir, I'm letting you in because I'm not about all this. And one of them will serve you. That's what happened. But you see how that story of telephone, it starts out the way it's supposed to on one end, and by the time it got to the HR desk, I'm yelling at the man. And I never yelled at him, not once. And when I asked to see the report, I'm not allowed to see any of the write-ups. So I knew that was a red flag right there. Okay. Now, that's May 13th. I might as well go ahead and say just about for every day that I worked, I was harassed with one thing or another. So now we're at May 15th. 2 days later, Laura Ortiz was translated as saying the following to teammates. 1, this black bitch needs to go. We are the only ones that need to be working here. B, she started talking about how proud she was of her Mexican heritage and how she could speak her language anytime she wanted to. C, you're just jealous because you can't speak the language. Now I want to hold that for a minute. I'm not jealous of nobody's language. And I don't speak nothing but American English. And that's that. So don't think that your language is so much more special than somebody else's. Because if I wanted to learn Mexican Spanish, I could have done it in New York. I could have learned any dialect of Spanish I wanted to. I didn't have to come out here to feel, oh, I feel inferior because I don't speak Spanish. Kiss my English ass. Okay? So then she says, you ain't bilingual, so that's too bad for you. It's my right to speak Spanish anytime I want to. And then she was translated saying the following, that she was happy that the black bitch, would you stop? The black bitch doesn't understand what we're talking about. Then May 16th, see, they gonna do stuff just to be fucking annoying because they can. I removed, and she would like set things up to happen at a time. She would set things up at a time to happen when they didn't have to. Like, we had one personal tub, plastic tub. Everybody knows in the industry what I'm talking about. A plastic tub to wash bar equipment. It was the only one that we had because we had a temporary bar. So she knew this. She knew that I was going to be the one responsible for washing the equipment. What does she do? She puts all of her personal equipment in it and then walks away. Well, I'm not waiting around for her, so I took all of her stuff and put it on the POS terminal where she works. So everything was there that she could see. She comes back and she complained about me touching her things. She called Manager Lopez. Manager Lopez and Ortiz have a conversation in Spanish. Then Manager Lopez left. May 17th, opening task was for me to do what we call a bottle to bottle exchange. You give an empty bottle and the warehouse exchanges with a full one. On my return to the bar, she demands that I do a task that she wanted me to do. And I just looked at her. I continued with what I was doing. And then she started calling me lazy. They have a habit of calling everybody outside of themselves lazy. I want y'all to remember that. Okay? Then she said, you're looking for something easy to do and not help out. Once again, she's making the decisions as to what I'm supposed to be doing. And we're both of equal status, by the way. May 31st. All teammates were all reorganizing a back wall where we kept supplies. I see a box sinking into another box. So I stopped what I was doing and I rearranged the box, switching the heavier box to the bottom. Here she comes. She's complaining. Somebody is back there changing things up and messing things up. And I'm not going to say who. So since I was the only one working back there, some people in this bar have to take it upon themselves to change things and mess it up. She was referring to me. So she made a phone call. And during that phone call, I called her an idiot. She has a conversation with Manager Lopez in Spanish. And then Manager Lopez spoke with me about the situation. And she asked me, did I call her an idiot? And I said, yes, I did. I'm not afraid to call, if I called her an idiot, yes, I did call her an idiot. Because it was just like, you're going to make a big deal out of this? I could have called her something every day, but I didn't. So then the next thing I know, here comes General Manager Les Echeverria. He shows up. Now, just over me calling her an idiot, he who has hundreds of employees under him has time to run down to a bar with 4 bartenders because I called her an idiot. So then he asked me to speak with him privately. And he asked me for a solution to the harassment. And I'm looking at him like, you gotta be kidding me. I said, what we really need to do, Les, is to have a real sit down, not this fluffy stuff, a real sit down with HR to find out why Laura is doing this. She's coming up with any little thing she can complain about. And let's be real about it. Some of this stuff just doesn't make any kind of sense. But that's what he asked me. June 2nd. I just clocked in. Just started my opening duties and was approached by Jessica Lopez, the manager, told me that I've got to go to HR again. This time, Human Resource Director Jamel Morgan tells me that I called Laura an idiot and that this was, I was reprimanded for calling Laura an idiot and that this was against Levy Restaurant and Catering policies and core values, and it was not acceptable to call Laura an inappropriate name. But mind you, she called me all them other names and it was okay. Union rep Sylvia Sosa and the other one was also present, but she didn't say nothing. HR assistant director, they had a black assistant director. She didn't last long. I guess she probably said enough of this and she got the hell on. So I won't mention her name either. It seemed like, now that I'm reading it all to you, it seems like every 2 days, it seems like. Because here we have June 4th. I did restocking, and the warehouse doesn't always send down what you ask for. You ask for cucumbers, you're expecting regular size green cucumbers. I don't know if people are familiar with the Persian cucumber, but it's tiny. It's probably, you put your thumb and your first finger and stretch them out against each other. That's probably the length of it. The diameter of it, you could probably put your hand in a little circle and that would be the diameter. And so we asked for 3 cucumbers. We're thinking 3 large ones are going to show up as a garnish for drinks. It was 3 small Persian cucumbers. I took one of them and I put the other 2 back. And another coworker had grabbed one of them, so there was still one left. I had cut them into little circles and stuck a toothpick through one side to make it resemble somewhat of a lollipop. Laura Ortiz waited until I was finished and reaches over and says, I'm going to take some of these. And I put my hand over the cup. Now, mind you, we're not even supposed to be engaging each other. But she's going to take my stuff. I put my hand over the cup and I said, Laura, you already know we're not supposed to be bothering each other. I said, there's 2 other cucumbers. Why don't you take one from the other guy? Oh, she didn't want to do that. She says to me, oh, so you don't want to share them. I'm calling Jessica. Here comes Lopez with her ponytail swinging behind her head. Here she comes. She first has a conversation in Spanish with Laura and then asks me what happened. I really want to say, bitch, you already know what happened. You already asked your crony. And now you're asking me? Give me a break. But I didn't say nothing. June 8th. I expressed my concerns to the general manager about complaints from Sadri and Ortiz concerning the liquor cage and where products are to be stored. The health inspector had, according to Ortiz, the health inspector said that liquor is supposed to be in the cabinet under our POS terminals. But you got a liquor cage for liquor. It didn't make any sense. She said, and she's telling this to the manager, Jessica Lopez, who doesn't even follow up to see if it's true or not. I think I would have had a conversation with the health department, in-house health department inspector. She didn't do that. She went by what Laura Ortiz told her. So I waited. So when the health inspector came through to do his usual, I think it was what, monthly or every other week or something, he would come through and do an inspection. So I asked him, where do these products go? He said, liquor and all related products related to liquor sales, all of that, go in the cage. Nothing of human consumption is allowed in the cabinets under the POS registers. All other supplies, napkins, straws, cups, bar mats, and all of that are all in the cage, which makes sense. So I decided, he said, cabinets, they had their personal items in the liquor cabinet, in the liquor cage. Michael had his book bag up in the liquor cage. Laura's got her purse and a cloth dark bag in the liquor cage. And in both situations, it's supposed to be a clear plastic bag and not over a certain size. But he was allowed to come in with a black and white book bag. Okay? And liquor stored under his cabinet. Yeah, right. So anyway, I reorganized the liquor cage. And that really got the complaints going. From, oh, it's too far for me to walk. And I'm like, how far could that be? What, 20 steps? It wasn't like he was walking across the hall. 20 steps maybe. Maybe 25. I don't even think 25, okay? But anyway, it became a big complaint. Then I have the manager, at least she was somewhat decent. She says she appreciated my initiative, but told me to check with her in the future before I reorganize anything. She didn't say anything when we were reorganizing the back wall with all of those supplies, but now all of a sudden me reorganizing the liquor cabinet, I need to get her permission before I do it. Okay. So that became a real issue. And then I said something to the general manager. We'll just say GM, Les, and we'll know who we're talking about. I said there should be a bag conversation to remind teammates not to bring certain backpacks, totes, and handbags that are solid. I never even mentioned their names. I just said you need to, have one of the managers or something, maybe have a conversation about it. And the only thing he asked me was if I was going to HR with my complaint. That's it. And I said, no, I'm coming to you. I figured like this. If he could get Laura to stop bothering me, for some reason he didn't want to do that anymore, or maybe he could take care of this. And the clear bag conversation never happened. So kind of get an idea of what's going on. I just wasn't aware of it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I just told him about this and that's all he asked me. Okay, I'm keeping my eyes out. So anyway, now we're at June 15th. Sadri and Ortiz agreed that I was not ordering rum when I didn't see the reason to order rum when there were already like maybe 10 bottles of unopened spicy rum. And they were making a complaint because I didn't order some more of it when there was already unopened bottles. I'm like, we got all these unopened bottles. No, I didn't get it. And that was an issue. So they were complaining about me not ordering the liquor. So one teammate, whose name I won't mention, said, well, when people get older, they get forgetful. And I was like, wait a minute. This had nothing to do with me being older or forgetful. It had everything to do with umpteen bottles of the same product in the liquor cage unopened, and we're running out of room. That's what it was about. So anyway, Michael takes this opportunity in a very snarky tone, says to me, it looks me in my face, so you retiring? That's so he could become more senior. That's all it was about. Okay, we're June 15th. June 23rd, manager Lopez went over to her guests that were sitting in front of the Vin Scully mural near POS 1 where Michael Sadri worked. Now, because of seniority, you get to pick where you want to be. So Michael had been at Terminal 1. I could have come in and said, well, Michael, I'm more senior to you. I want to move down, and that puts more space between me and Ortiz. But I let him go ahead and stay there because it was not a big deal. I was comfortable where I was, and it was fine. So Jessica, I'm telling on you now, had her friends sitting over at near his terminal, and they were being served by Michael, and they were not paying for it. She was getting over. And so what she did was he complained about me making a red, white, and blue margarita. I learned how to mix the mixes, and when I put them together, it would come out separate, and it was red, white, and blue. So it was kind of funny that I had come up with this, and I was like, okay. And now Michael had his little Twitter following, and all these people would line up just to be served by Michael, and it was causing a problem because they didn't want to move, like in a line that circled around to where he can serve just his people and the other people can come in and be served by the rest of us. They were all blocking it up, so everyone was standing outside on a line thinking that the whole place was crowded, and it wasn't. So all I was asking him to do was just have your people line up and go around the corner so they can just be served by you. And he had his little special drinks that he liked making. They would post on Twitter, and they would come in, everybody wants just drink, whatever. And that's all it was. But he didn't want anybody else having the attention for something special too. So he complained to Jessica about me making this margarita. So she comes by me on her way out the door and says, only make sure you only make the things that are on the menu. Now, we hadn't been doing it all the way up until then, but now all of a sudden it's a big issue because I found something I could make and be known for my specialty. Okay. At the end of the day, I noticed the solid color backpack was back up in the liquor cabinet where it wasn't supposed to be. Now, the next one I'm reading is July 4th, 2023. And my hour, I think I'm going to read to at least the middle of July, and then I will come back with it for another day. Let's see, July, what was that? Whatever date I just read to you. July. So now we are July 4th. That's what it was. Because I thought it was very interesting that in 2022, it was July 5th and 6th there was an issue. And now I've got July 4th. It's like almost a year later. Here's the same stuff going on. So June 26th. I must interject for a moment. June 26th, I had finally had enough. and I complained to the California Civil Rights Department because I'm like, there's got to be an entity outside of this that can come in and just look at what's going on, because this is not normal behavior for a workplace. So they gave me what is called a right to sue letter. That meant I could sue them in court and did not have to go through the union process. The funny thing about it is, I was really not that hip about union stuff, even though I had been paying union dues since 2018. I really didn't know anything about the union. I couldn't tell you anything other than there was some shop stewards that didn't make sense when she opened her mouth. That's all I could tell you. I did not know that this right to sue letter meant I did not have to go through the union with my grievances about these people. I had no idea the power of the letter. So that was June 26th, it was issued to me. So now I'm going back to July 4th. July 4th started out okay. Now we have a bar back. Her name is Brianna Larios. And I asked her several times to push the products up in the beer fridges so I could reach them. Now, she'd been doing it when she was a temporary bartender, along with all of the other temporary bartenders. When she became the regular bartender for the station, she continued to do her job. And then all of a sudden, she got big headed and felt she didn't have to do it. All of a sudden, she stopped. I used to tip this woman every morning that I came in, as I did with all the barbacks. I didn't feel it was anybody else's business to know whether I tipped them or not. This was something I didn't feel that needed to be shared. Just like I didn't share my tip amounts. It was none of their business. So anyway, she decides, she doesn't want to do it. I don't know why. She just decided she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to restock the cups when we were busy. None of that. So I said something to her. And then the next thing I know, she's over there assisting Laura Ortiz as like an associate bartender, making and serving drinks. And Laura was ringing up the price. And we all needed help. Restocking was supposed to be her job. Now she wanted to do that and restock. I don't know. I've never seen another barback do this. And I've worked many places. I've never seen a barback act as an associate bartender until July 4th. So I'm asking her, we called her Bree. Bree, could you please, restock stuff? Laura tells me that can't I see that she's busy with customers and that it was my responsibility to do it. Now, how you like that? All right, July 5th. Michael had wrecked more bottles of this spicy rum when there was already too many. So it was my turn to go and pick the stuff up. I decided I wasn't going to get it anymore. Well, when I came back, Michael complained like, I was like, this boy crazy or what? All these bottles of unopened spicy rum, and he's worried about me not bringing some more down. Well, he wasn't happy. So what he did was he called supervisor Luis Villanueva. He says he wants an explanation from me as to why I didn't get any more rum. So I told him. And he said that it wasn't my decision to make. That he wanted to speak with me about the rum. And he told me that I did not have permission from manager Lopez not to order the extra rum. So he went upstairs and got extra room. And he could clearly see all of these bottles that were in the liquor cage. But once again, I'm not hip. I'm not hip to what's going on yet. You know, I hate it when people want to be rude and stand in front of you, want to make all this noise and everything so that they can be recognized or noticed or something. Like nobody really cares about you that much. Okay. At the end of the day, here's what got interesting. This is on July 5th. Manager Lopez says she has to speak with me after we done cashed out our tips. So she tells me that she overpaid me by $31 and that the $31 was really Sadri's tip money and that I was doing this and I had to give it back. So I gave the money back to her and signed the receipt and all of that. The very next day, July 6th, I'm not really getting too much of a break, as you can tell. July 6th, I had computer issues, and Manager Lopez had been able to fix them in the past, but she wasn't having any good time with this. And after a while, it seemed like, I guess he had, stopped. The computer tech had come by. Now, here's what was weird. The computer tech came by, and he talked to me briefly. And he usually would ask me what's going on, and then he would start doing a diagnostics of some kind. But what he did was he was distracted by a supervisor. Her name is Jennifer Ayala, I think. Ayala or Ayala. They had a conversation, and then he went away without testing the computer. The technical issues started showing up again near closing. When I would put my checks in, they were out of sequence. And so I decided to calculate my tips on my cell phone. It came out to $161.52. For some reason that day, Ortiz had a manager swipe card, and she's the one totaling up our tips. We're supposed to be staying away from each other, so I don't even understand how this is working out. But I was like, well, okay. When it added up, it came up to $112.50. I was like, oh, I know that's wrong, because I'd already added it up. So the manager tried to do something with it, and it didn't work. The supervisor, he tried to do something with it. It didn't work. So finally, Manager Lopez came back, and she was able to get it. She was able to get it to work, and it came up to $163.50, and she paid me $164. Well, I already know there's a problem because I did it twice on my phone, and it was $161.50. 52 cents. So I don't know how that $163.50 came up. But also, before Manager Lopez was able to fix it, there was a name that came up when Laura Ortiz swiped my POS terminal. A different name came up than mine, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been my name. So something was going on. So now we're going to move on to July 7th. I'm telling you, I never got a break. Supervisor Luis explained he needed a photo of the rec orders at night. This was something new. And so a coworker asked me to fill out the rec order on his behalf, and he would do my task for me. So I said, okay. But Laura Ortiz had a problem with it. And then she was really upset about it. I don't know why. But she was very upset about it. So she started talking in Spanish about something. And then, like excluded me from the conversation. And then she asked, she and Jennifer Ayala had a conversation in Spanish about something. I don't know what it was about, but I'm assuming it was about me. And then she left. Okay. Now this thing with the bar back now serving drinks and stuff, this was all new. This had never happened before. And it was like, what's going on? So anyway, based on what Luis, which I don't understand, he seemed like he was a nice boy. He's a boy because, I'm old enough to probably be his grandma. But would do stupid stuff. And Laura could convince him to do really stupid stuff. And it was like, something's wrong with this dude. But anyway, July 8th. This is a pre-shift meeting. We always had them. He makes a statement about each bartender being responsible for their own stations. This was in regards to the bar back now serving drinks and making drinks and serving customers, which he's supposed to be doing bar back duties. He's talking like really, dude? We've always done this. So was he talking something? We were looking at him like he was crazy. Me and my coworkers were like, what's up with him? We always do this every day we come in. So I'm assuming that Ortiz did something to him. But anyway, he says, I thought Supervisor Luis was speaking of barback Brianna pouring and serving drinks alongside a bartender. Luis was referring to restocking the cup caddy, even though all bartenders are busy serving customers, and it had been the barback's duty until then. July 17th, I turned on my POS, and the screen was different. I was like, what the hell's going on? So I took a quick picture of it. July 30th, and I'm going to end with this. July 30th, 2023. Because attendance was low, many concession stands were closed. So washing bar supplies meant going a distance to find an open concession stand. I found one open. Since the staff was leaving, I was left with the responsibilities of leaving the concession area as it was. And it was clean, neat, organized. Every pen, every piece of paper, all of that is very important to this particular stand. So, I was finished when Ortiz shows up with her personal bar equipment and takes a Santi bucket from the stand. Now, mind you, there were 3 Santi buckets where we were working. So there was no reason for her to come there at all. Plus, we're supposed to be staying away from each other. What part of this is not being adhered to? So she takes the bucket from the stand. And as she's leaving the stand, she says, "Mind your business," and walks out with the stand's equipment and takes it back to our workstation. I went back to the workstation and I retrieved the bucket, and the items belonging to her were removed. And I was just fed up. So I'm slamming this stuff down on the counter. It wasn't breakable stuff. And one of the pour spouts for the liquor bottle bounced up into the air and fell on the floor. So on August 1st, that's when I am suspended. I had to the minute I got there on August 1st, I had to, I was greeted by Supervisor Luis, who informed me that I had to go to HR. And before I went, he was like, I don't understand it. I've tried in so many ways to mend the situation. Well, mending the situation, you idiot, calling you on now one because I can, was to tell her to stop. That's all. That's all of you had to do. But you didn't. You egged it on. You basically gave her the license to keep going. And that's exactly what she did. And with that, I've been talking for an hour. And I will catch you up on the rest of it on the next go round. Thank you for listening. And the sun is setting. It's beautiful. It's not going to be as spectacular as I thought it would be. But nevertheless, if you live inland and all you're seeing is mountains or dirt or other buildings, this is a reprieve. Get you away and actually see real nature as it does its thing, as it goes from day until night. And you know, somewhere on the other side of this, it's morning. Just imagine that. So, until next time, it gets even stranger as I go. But this is California, and we need an overhaul. And I mean the Republicans and the Democrats that live out here, you all kissing up, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I will let everyone else know too, because social media has given me a world audience, and I am taking advantage of it. So until next time, I want you to all be well, embrace each other, kiss each other, celebrate, and have a darn good time, because you never know when your number is up.